we are witnessing more than ever high levels of senior women choosing to leave corporate. I call this phase of my career my portfolio career because I'm doing a number of things which are all deeply linked to my passion. By the end of the year, we would have impacted around 250 young people. And the first program that we launched as Mwelase Foundation is a robotics and a coding program in rural KwaZulu-Natal. The book calls Heal. Let's heal, guys. Let's heal so that we can move beyond this tear down syndrome and scarcity mentality.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Buttercup Skincare Podcast. I am your host, Noxolo Sokweba, and today I am with the lovely Khethiwe Nkuna, a multi-award winning entrepreneur and best-selling author. And today we discuss mindful leadership and how we as women can cultivate a compassionate workplace. Kethiwe, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Noxolo.
So you wear a lot of hats. You're an entrepreneur, an author, you run 2 businesses, you also a family woman. Tell me, what does rest look like for you?
So I think for me, rest, I speak passionately about the fact that it's really around the micro steps every single day. You know, it's not waiting for me to take a holiday once a year, you know, a big holiday or the spa day, you know. I think that is important. But the most critical thing is what you do on a daily basis, you know. So for me, it's really around pouring into my own cup on a daily basis. And micro steps include just taking a long bath on a evening after I come back from the office. You know, I joke about my 16-year-old who still follows me to the bathroom, you know, so me locking the door is really just for me to have that moment with my candles, you know. It's maybe even taking a walking meeting when it comes to the busy lives that we lead, right? I think one of the things that we underestimate is the importance of the sun for us, especially as women, you know, around balancing our hormones. And I think for me, it's also around surrounding myself with the people that pour back into my cup and people that I love, you know. So it's a number of many things, but ultimately it's really around me being very proactive about looking after self, you know, and caring for self, because I know that if I'm not okay, no one is okay. And I think there's sometimes discomfort with people around self-care where people say, you know, it's selfish to focus on yourself. And what I say is it's self-preservation. If I'm not okay, no one is okay. Not my business, not my children, not my family, not me being a daughter to my mom, and not me being a sibling and a friend as well. So that is what it looks like for me.
I like the walking meetings. I think I'm going to try that. As someone who works from home, I think we tend to work, forget, and you tend to work more than the prescribed or the normal 8 hours. So, and you're sitting on that chair the whole day. I think I'm definitely trying that.
Yeah, 100%. So it's a strategy that I actually started during COVID because of those very same reasons. You know, it was unnatural where we are sitting, and because of many complexities where we saw people lose their jobs. So those of us who kept our jobs because of survivor's remorse, we then worked extra long, you know, to let me show my worth, you know, to make sure that I am actually showing that I do deserve this job, you know. But I think even in those times, it was really important. And I generally am someone who's quite self-aware and self-reflective and quite intentional around self-care, you know, because as I indicated, it's the crux of everything, you know. And I think the most important thing is the proactivity, being proactive about it. Don't wait until crisis, because this is what we see most people do, where they'll only rest when they are almost at complete exhaustion and they're running at zero, or they're almost at burnout, you know. So it's really important to actually be proactive. I've witnessed throughout my career and my life where people that I know actually did get burnt out. And for me, I say to people, it's like, it's just not worth the risk. So
No.
rather deploy the proactive strategy.
Yeah.
And we don't have enough time to make mistakes that everyone else has made,
Yeah.
right? So it's important that we take lessons from people's experiences,
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, that is a simple thing. Even things like every morning I make sure, again, the sun and natural light,
Yeah.
my coffee, I have it outside. Before I start my day, I have my
Yes.
coffee outside because that sunlight and natural light really just kicks off, and jump starts your day.
Yes, absolutely. Prevention is definitely better than cure. It's so much tougher to reverse the burnout than to just prevent it from happening.
100%.
So tell me, what inspired your entrepreneur journey?
Yeah. So I'm actually an interesting person because I think I've always been entrepreneurial.
Okay.
And throughout my life, there have always been elements of entrepreneurship, you know. So even starting from as early as tertiary, so while I was a student, my side hustle was doing people's hair. I learned how to do people's hair for extra pocket money.
Yes.
And then I think later on, probably about 15 years ago, I had a hair business, so I was actually buying, hair from China, India, and then reselling that, that was also doing really well.
Is the hair from the business, the hair you're wearing now?
Well, yes, it is.
It looks beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I think the main area around the pivot when it's been a full-time gig, this is actually my second rodeo now as an entrepreneur. So when I was 24, I actually left Mercedes-Benz to start my own business. What I was doing
24.
was, yes.
Sure, okay.
So what I was doing was marketing and CSR consulting, and the CSR was really, I would call it development consulting, because I was helping companies to structure their CSR programs, but I was also working with NPOs around connecting them and helping them to build their own programs so that they appeal to actual funders, and then marketing, end-to-end marketing, whether it was PR eventing, brand management. And I ran that business for 3 years.
Sure.
And around 2008, the global recession happened, 2007, 2008. And then at that time, I was also expecting my daughter in 2008.
Okay.
So after I had her, when she was around 4 months, I actually joined Momentum, so I was with Momentum and I actually started their CSR program and was with them for 3 years and 5 years, sorry. And Fast Track then was at Accenture for 11 years. And I think even at Accenture, the entrepreneurial flair was always there. I was telling you about Khethiwe Couture, for example.
Yes.
I started Khethiwe Couture in lockdown as well, actually.
Yeah.
So it's my online clothing store. And in my journey at Accenture, I was telling you earlier on that I've always been someone who seeks a level of discomfort.
Yeah.
And the 11 years I spent there were me doing really complex and difficult things, which I thrive on, but I think the last 2 years, it became evident that my assignment was complete, and that there were other things that I needed to go and do, which God had really planted in my heart, so that is then what inspired me actually leaving and taking that very big leap of faith of leaving an executive position, leaving the predictability of corporate, to what people call the streets.
To the hustle.
Yes, so yes, that is what inspired me then. Moving into what I call this phase of my career, my portfolio career, because I'm doing a number of things which are all deeply linked to my passions, So the first one, of course, being SkillQuest. So SkillQuest is my advisory firm, and I broadly do advisory around ESG, so DEI, transformation, corporate social responsibility, broad-based economic empowerment, sustainability, and that again, it's a combination of all my passions. And I think for me, it's really wanting to enable and support companies to move beyond the tick box approach, but implement really meaningful programs, and initiatives that are embedded into their programs and
Yeah.
their strategy, where it's not just a sideline thing.
Yeah.
And then there's Mwelase Foundation. And Mwelase Foundation is actually a love project, and it's a tribute to our late father. So Mwelase is our clan name.
Okay.
So my siblings and I registered Mwelase Foundation in honor of him. He was an educator, and the work we do around there is around digital inclusion. And it's really a combination of all our passions together within honoring our father's legacy in education. And the first program that we launched as Mwelase Foundation is a robotics and a coding program in rural KwaZulu-Natal, where we are targeting kids as young as 8 up to 17. And we launched it on Mandela Day.
Yeah.
And by the end of the year, we would have impacted around 250 young people. The main aim for that is early exposure.
Yeah.
If you expose young people, you inspire them to dream different dreams.
Yes.
I also firmly believe that talent is dispersed equally, but opportunities aren't. So let's take the opportunities to the young people.
Yeah.
It's just so exciting. It's been so exciting to see these young people interact and how quickly they learn, in terms of building the robot and then programming the robot. So it's been an exciting program. Other programs that we do is youth entrepreneurship, so embedding entrepreneurship into the school curriculum as well, so that we enable people to be inspired to start businesses rather than wanting to be, job seekers.
Yes.
And the third part is around mental health, recognizing the crisis around youth mental health and the rising levels of teen suicides in the country. We embed that into everything that we do, and it's really because of the challenges that we see in the communities, the social ills, which do then result in trauma. And again, it's to instill this early around the proactive care of mental health and to address stigma and educate young people that it's okay to not be okay, and you can ask for help. This is where you can get free help like SEDEC and the likes.
Sure. You're doing such good work, Kethiwe. And I like the focus on the rural parts, because if South Africa wants to be in line with the rest of the world, then we can't have people left behind in terms of technology. So I like that. I see a lot of CSR in your work experience and what you do. Were you purposeful in terms of, I want to be in CSR from a young age, or tell me how you got into that space?
It's such a beautiful and interesting story. So my first undergrad, Noxolo, is actually your field of study, accounting. So I studied financial management and credit management. And the graduate program at Mercedes-Benz was a rotation based. So my first rotation, being a finance graduate, was into the finance department. I quickly realized
we couldn't entice you to stay.
This is not for me. I'm really good at it and I've never lost it. I use it every day.
Yes.
But it's just not where, and it's an interesting story because my father, when I said I wanted to do finance, actually said you should do marketing. It's like, no, Daddy. And then my second rotation, the chief operating officer, which is where I rotated into, asked me, what do you want to do? I'm like,
I don't know.
I thought, but what I've always been passionate about is volunteering, even in tertiary, and giving back. So he then gave me CHOC Childhood Cancer Foundation, which was his pet project at the time, and had a couple of meetings with CHOC. And 3 months later, we had a fundraising gala dinner and raised over R250,000. And that's how my passion and my purpose found me that early in my career, so... the grad program was a 2-year program, but within the first year, I was then converted into a permanent role as a marketing and CSR specialist. So I then started studying my second undergrad, which is marketing. So my passion and my purpose, which I've then anchored on. So everything that I do, CSR has been a strong element, with over 21 years experience, we have intentionally really leveraged the corporates that I've been in to create meaningful and sustainable change in our communities, from youth unemployment job creation, technology, just at Accenture in the last 11 years, we impacted over 92,000 young people in terms of the digital skilling. And for us, it's not the end is, and the success is not, we've trained 92,000. 92,000 of those young people went into jobs. And about 5% of them started their own businesses, so that's the power, right, around intentionality.
Yes, absolutely.
And partnering as well. I think one of the things that I've been intentional around is partnering with communities where we are giving communities a hand up, not a handout. And we recognize that there's wisdom in the communities and we are not going to be high and mighty as a big corporate, but we really get to the level with respect and work even with tribal authorities, work with NPOs, work with the community and municipalities and other funders, right? Because the model I've deployed, and that's why the scale in terms of the 92,000 has always been a collective impact where I recognize that not one organization can solve the enormity of the challenges that we have if they work in isolation. We have to be intentional around partnership and collaboration.
Such purposeful work. So Daddy was right then about the marketing.
It was such a when I then told him that they appointed me as a marketing and CSR person, he said, you're doing what you were born to do.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah, and I think both right now. So yes, my career has been more around the CSR and really around ESG and the likes, but I've never lost both. My accounting and the marketing. I use it every single day, even right now as an entrepreneur. Everything that I do in terms of brand building, I do that myself, because I'm leveraging on that experience. Even the 20 years when I'm funding NPOs, for me to able to assess, look at and interpret their financial statements so that I assess around the decision I make to fund or not to fund. I've never lost that skill. I love the term from Steve Jobs that the dots connect backwards, because that is what I've then come to experience, that nothing is ever lost. All of it is part of the journey.
It's part of the journey. Would you say that you are living in your purpose?
I absolutely am, and I've had the privilege of living in my purpose every single day, and people ask me, how do you do so many things? Because I do a lot of things. How do you do so many things? And it's truly a testament of when they say, find your purpose and you never have to work a day in your life. So I work hard and I put in a lot of effort, but it's almost effortless because it's so deeply linked to my existence and my purpose.
Yes. Sure. So, about the book that we have here, Kethiwe, recently, when did you launch the book?
2 months ago.
2 months ago. Tear Her Down. What inspired the book?
So the book is really my own personal story, but it's also stories as well from other women who trusted me with their stories. And really what inspired it was the fact that many women I'd have conversations with have experienced tear her down syndrome, you know. And what that basically is how we as women cause harm to each other in the workplace. And the reality is I've written the book from a workplace point of view, but it's not only in the workplace, you know. So that is what inspired it, you know. But the book doesn't end there, right? Because I think the book starts around the tear her down syndrome. And we name, right? We name the syndrome. And then I unpack why it happens. And some of the findings, it's either insecurity, scarcity mentality, internalized misogyny, and really us at times, I think, having this mindset that there's limited opportunities. And if I want to shine, I must outshine my sister. Or I must unscrew her light bulb. You know, or I must go on a smear campaign, which are things I unpack in the book, right, around, you know, some of the quiet undermining elements where it's almost difficult to almost pinpoint
Yeah.
And you might at times think you are imagining this,
am
but
I the
it's
problem?
well orchestrated, you know, and moving beyond the why, you know, I then also unpack
Yeah.
the beauty and the power of sisterhood, because that's what the book calls for. The book calls heal. Let's heal, guys.
Yeah.
Let's heal so that we can move beyond this tear down syndrome and scarcity mentality to then embrace sisterhood, because it's a beautiful and powerful place to be. You know, I was sharing with you that my own experience of sisterhood,
Yes.
you know, on the launch of, on the evening of the launch of my book, my entire sisterhood was there. People I've journeyed with from when I was 3.
Yeah.
The person who moderated our dialogue is
Yeah.
my friend from preschool. We were 3 when we met, and we are still as close as then. People that I grew up with were there. I had family, friends. I had people from Mercedes-Benz, people from Momentum, people from Accenture, people I've never met that I met on the day because we met on LinkedIn, for example. This is how you and me, for example, met through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You know? And usually there's usually around 130 people that would attend the maximum book club, but I had 260 people. And I say people because it wasn't just women that came to my book club. Some of my male friends who are my allies, and some of them would passionately say that they are part of the sisterhood, you know, and that resulted in my book being number 1 that evening at Exclusive Books. This is the power, right, of sisterhood.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, you know, the call of the book, yes, it speaks about the scarcity and all the whys. But what I hope people get from the book is reflection and healing, so that they can embrace sisterhood and embrace a abundance mentality where you recognize and realize that there's room enough for all of us to shine. You don't need to be pitting each other against one another as women. You know, we are actually stronger together than we are divided. So that is what inspired the book.
And for someone who's watching and wondering if they're experiencing the tear down syndrome, how can they identify it?
Yeah. So I think from a victim point of view, the most important thing is just to reflect, right? And document experiences, because you would find that it's not once that this happens. So reflect and document the experiences. And through the reflection and documentation, what you then do is also remove the emotions, and you remove the doubt that maybe I'm imagining things, you know, and you also need to assess whether the perpetrator is someone that would be receptive to a conversation. Because you can then have the conversation, say, this is what I've observed, and this is my experience, and this is how it makes me feel, without attacking someone. This is how it makes me feel. You know, and why I speak about observing is because of being very aware that psychopaths and narcissists live among us, right? So a narcissist, actually, you're not going to have the dialogue with, because you then need to decide for yourself how to preserve your own mental health and your sanity, in terms of then finding other coping mechanisms, and whether it's then speaking to other people that can assist you in managing that process, you know, and advocate on your behalf and step in on your behalf as well, you know. But I think the other side I want to speak about is the perpetrator.
Yes, please.
You know, so if someone, you know, reading the book, you start to self-identify, I hope that the book enables reflection, because it's not written from a point of judgment. It's not written from a point of victimhood. It's not written from a bashing point of view, because I hope it then inspires reflection and healing, so that you yourself can rise to your great level of leadership. You know, leadership, I write about it in the book, that if we are hurt leaders, what will perpetuate is more of the same, right? Rather than to lead from a position of inclusion and a position of abundance. You know, you can't create belonging and inclusion for others if you yourself don't belong to yourself.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
this book also calls for self-awareness and reflection and doing the hard work of going within.
Yeah.
Because usually the reasons why you would be doing that is because you yourself are operating from a position of trauma.
Yeah.
And there's something that you went through.
Yeah.
So go within and reflect so that you can heal, so that you rise to your greatest level of leadership. You rise to your sovereignty as a leader.
Is the scarcity mindset unique to females only? Surely men as well experience the same.
Yeah, so the book, I've written it from a female point of view, but it's definitely not only female.
Okay.
You know, so I think scarcity is the byproduct, as I mentioned, of trauma, of pain, you know. So that is not only exclusive to women.
Yeah.
I speak passionately also about the fact that emotions are human.
Yeah.
They're not feminine.
Yes.
So we need to be aware of our emotions. We need to be aware of our traumas and our pain so that we don't continue to bleed on the wrong people. So the short answer to that is it's definitely not feminine.
Okay.
And the element of the gender element in terms of women doing it to each other, it's more rife with women compared to men doing it to each other.
Yes,
you know, but as you know, one of my characters that I did experience tear down syndrome with was a male figure.
Yes.
You know, so it's not only unique, and it was because of insecurity. That was the individual's thing. It was insecurity, you know, but if you analyze all of those things, I think ultimately the insecurity and the scarcity are linked. And the things that lie beneath the surface are the unhealed traumas and the unhealed pain.
Yes, hurt people.
100%.
Yeah. And somewhere in the book, when I was reading, you mentioned that some of the environments that perpetuate this kind of mindset is when the environment is highly competitive. And I was like, but I thought competition is healthy for me, healthy for the business. Do you mind elaborating on how competition can cause scarcity mindset?
Yeah, and I think for me, I prefer to use and why what the difference is in terms of what is healthy. What's healthy is ambition, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Compared to competition, because what competition does is it literally does pit people against each other. But if we are ambitious, we can still coexist and work together, you know, and recognize that we are different, we are all ambitious, but ultimately, you know, we are not each other's enemies.
Okay.
So that's the difference for me, you know, because the competition is what then enables this behavior of people just backstabbing each other, you know, because it's then opportunities are zero sum.
Yeah.
Rather than if we have a collaboration approach and there's nothing wrong with being ambitious, you know, then we all work symbiotically together, you know, and collaborate with each other rather than pit each other against each other.
And what is the cost to the company of having a toxic environment? I mean, we know the cost to the people. It could show up as anxiety, depression, burnout, but what's the cost to the company, if any?
So there are many costs. And I think one example is a term I recently came across, which is called the Great Breakup.
Okay.
So what's happening globally is we are witnessing more than ever high levels of senior women choosing to leave corporate.
Oh, wow.
And the main reason is, one, I think women are tired of wearing exhaustion and burnout as a badge of honor.
Sure.
Women are tired of organizations that write about DEI and values but don't live it. And the unequal weight of invisible labor. And invisible labor would be, for example, the work of DEI, the work of mental health, the work of really leaning into supporting and enabling our people is more skewed toward women. And they are not compensated for that, you know. So that's one example where we are witnessing it
Yeah.
globally at high levels. You know, another example related to that, it's also the levels of attrition, you know, or even people, presenteeism, where people come to work and they come to the office, but they are not well,
Okay.
you know, and they are not productive. Absenteeism as well, you know, so there are many costs
Yeah.
where it's not only from a culture point of view, but there's
Yeah.
an actual cost in terms of monetary,
Yes.
because you losing that institutional knowledge, there's a cost linked to it.
Yes.
If you hire someone new, to give that time, first to even the hiring process,
Yes.
it's 6 months
Yes.
at senior levels, even up to a year. For that person to acclimatize into the culture of the organization, for you to then start to get value, you know, it's just not sustainable. It's just more sustainable and so much better to rather keep your good people. The cost of losing your good people
Yeah.
is a cost too high.
Yeah.
That and the good people will actually be the first to leave, toxic
yeah.
environments because they would have options.
Yeah. And with the work that you do you feel that companies are taking this seriously and are being proactive to create healthy environments?
I think there's a shift. I think there's a
Okay.
shift. And I think there's also awareness of these challenges and these dynamics where some organizations are proactive about it, you know, and they see the problem. And then some, it's because of crisis to say,
Okay.
we have got an issue here. Women are living in droves. We need help.
Sure.
How do we address it?
Yeah.
You know, so I think there is definitely a shift where some are proactive, some are reactive.
Yes.
And then there are then the realities, because we also understand that not everyone is going to embrace it.
Yes.
You know, and I think especially with the global pushback around DEI, right? Which is because of misinformation and miseducation around, if you are prioritizing a DEI candidate, you're compromising on quality, which is absolutely not true.
Yeah.
For me, it's really saying, it's making sure that the most qualified person gets the opportunity regardless of where they're from.
Yeah.
You know, so we are seeing, and I think in the South African context, there is that commitment still, because we recognize the challenges that we face as a country and the inequality that exists, you know, and companies are continuing to roll out the programs and really build inclusive organizations, because ultimately this is what it's about, right?
Yeah.
It's about building an organization where people don't have to cut parts of themselves out, but they show up as their full authentic self, because that's where levels of innovation, creativity rise, right? Which then impacts your revenue.
Yes.
And it has a bottom line impact. So I speak passionately about the fact that there is no part of DEI that is to any organization's disservice.
Okay.
If anything, it's actually a self-preservation strategy that companies need to deploy for their own sustainability, because the more diverse you are, the better positioned you are to serve a diverse pool of clients.
Yes, sure. If I've experienced sabotage in the workplace, how do I start healing?
Yeah. And I think it's such an important thing, right? Because I think sometimes as I speak about it around the quiet undermining and, you know, the smear campaigns, it's almost deniable, right?
Yeah.
But I think the main thing is, it's like reflecting and journaling about it, you know, but I've got a whole chapter in the book that speaks about that in terms of you then getting to the healing part, you know, and the healing, again, it's about the self-reflection. My own experience, I did experience sabotage. I did experience people going on smear campaigns behind my back, you know, but what I chose to do with that is instead of reacting to that, I chose to actually just remove myself from that equation and focus on other things that really enabled and empowered me and aligned to my purpose.
Yeah.
And why I did that is because I was saying yesterday, it's like, I'm not going to get into the mud, you know, because the people you are wrestling with in the mud are enjoying it.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
and you can't even tell the difference then if you are getting there,
Yeah.
you know. So it's really just to do that. But I think, again, other things that you can do, again, is if there are formal processes that you can actually report those issues, do that. Don't suffer in silence. The worst thing is suffering in silence. And I think another thing I speak passionately about is the role of bystanders. So if other people are witnessing injustice and you witness the sabotage, you witness the discrimination, and you are quiet, you are complicit.
Sure. Yeah.
You need to stand in the gap. You need to act on behalf of the person.
Yeah.
And acting can be to call out the perpetrator. And I know the realities of fear of retaliation.
Yes.
But to respectfully call someone aside, where it doesn't have to be in the crowd, where you witness it in the moment, to say, this is what I observed, and this is how I think that this individual, my reflection of what just happened, and other avenues, again, it's getting other allies and other people in senior positions to then step in. But the main thing is being an ally. For me, allyship is action.
Yeah.
It's not being a bystander.
Yeah.
It's really acting. And you can do it respectfully, and actively, So I speak passionately about, active allyship.
Yes.
And active bystanders, where we just don't stand by. It's like, this is not my problem. It didn't happen to me.
Yes.
Because you're turning a blind eye. Tomorrow it's going to be you.
It's going to be you. I mean, it's a tough one, because I think we've become people who are more concerned about ourselves. If it doesn't affect me, I'm not part of it,
But you are, because you're then complicit.
Yeah.
If you are quiet in places of injustice, you're complicit.
Sure. And how are you promoting sisterhood in your businesses and within the people you work with?
So I think sisterhood, as I mentioned, it's something that's been natural to me.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've embraced from the beginning till today, And I think for me, the main thing is it's two-way, right? It's not one way.
Okay.
So sisterhood, it has to be the mutual investment and mutual commitment, both ways, But for me, the main thing is just recognizing that we are stronger together and forming strong bonds.
Yeah.
And also creating cultures of sisterhood and being united.
Yes.
So in my leadership style, I lead with love, I lead with heart, I lead with compassion, because that is how sisterhood is created. I've actually started writing my next book, and
my next question. My next question was going to be: is there another book cooking?
Yeah. So my next book is actually, I think, in the era that we are in the times that we are in, it's calling for more compassionate leadership.
Yes.
The world is at pains. That's why we've got all the things that we've got that are going. And then the levels of disruption as well that we're witnessing, whether it's technology, the geopolitical, it's all calling for more empathetic. So I refer to it as the fact that we all have masculine and feminine energy, but I think the world has been operating for too long in masculine energy, and we need to really lean more into our feminine energy, which is empathy. It's leading with self-awareness, it's leading with heart, and really leaning in so that the important work of healing can happen.
Yeah. And I think one thing I like about the book is there are parts that were quite reassuring for me, that you don't necessarily have to be the most masculine, right? You can still be a good leader and embrace your femininity. So
it's so important. So I think it's an equilibrium. It's balancing both.
Yes.
I do a bit of coaching around this work as well, and part of the coaching is also making sure that we are not operating in extreme elements where when I'm doing being feminine, then I'm extremely where even when I witness challenges and issues that I should address, I'm avoidant and I'm like, things will work out. Yeah. Because what that results in is you being extreme on the other end in terms of the masculine, where you're then so harsh, right? But if we are operating in equilibrium, we are able to balance between both
Yeah.
at all times. You know, I was actually speaking to someone the other day and they were asking me, am I a feminist? You know, and I'm actually not someone who believes in extremism.
Okay.
So I believe in the important work of gender equity and gender empowerment and closing the gender gap. But I also know that balance is important and we cannot do it without our male counterparts.
Yes.
You know, so it's really embracing at all points. We should always aim for the equilibrium.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep a lookout for your next book. If people want to buy it, where can they find it?
So I usually have copies, but I've got a nice life problem as an author where myself right now I'm out of stock.
Oh, wow.
But exclusive books.
Oh,
the book
congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The book is available at Exclusive Books.
Okay.
So Melrose Arch, which is where I launched it, has it. But then Waterfall also has it. Mall of Africa. Rosebank has it. In Durban it's available. But if the exclusive books that you go to doesn't have it, please ask them to order it from head office or from Melrose Arch.
Okay.
And then it's also available on bookstore.co.za.
Okay.
And those are, it will soon be available on Take A Lot and Amazon as well.
Okay. And if people are interested in the work you do, where can they reach out, find you, find your companies as well?
Yeah. So I'm available on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a platform where I'm most active. So LinkedIn as Khethiwe Nkuna. I'm on Instagram as Khethi_Nzima.
Okay.
And my website is skillquest.africa.
Okay.
My email address is Kethiwe@skillquest.africa.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kethiwe. It's been such a lovely conversation.
Thank you so much, Nokolo, for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in. I will see you on the next one. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.